That's true. Take it as a challenge.
All right, I'm going to clip this. Actually, I'm going to hide this on the other side of you. Just me and Poppy right here.
Okay.
Experiment with some phone angles.
All right. You guys ready? Get out. All right.
Yes, 15.
Go ahead and just ask him a couple of questions and I can get a sound check.
Sure.
You can ask him what he had for breakfast.
You want lights on?
If he's a Dodgers or Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never sell alive.
Can you get that one on for me,
Mhm.
Aslan?
So I'll speak sort of like this. Hopefully that's
Awesome.
enough.
Can you hear that clicking? Oh,
All right.
be done.
Let's go ahead. I'm going to get a sound check from you, Wes. Go ahead and just ask him a general
Testing, 1, 2,
question.
3, testing, testing, testing.
So is this your last day for press, or do you have many?
No, I don't think so. But I think it'll be over by the end of the week.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So I'll do the show.
Oh, well, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Joe? Joe, I'm going to have you go ahead and use the mic as you usually would, just as a backup.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, just
Okay.
as a backup.
So I'll be
just
on
for
the
safety.
shot, the mic will be in charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Milli Vanilli.
All right, guys, we are ready to go when you are.
Okay, great. Let's go.
Uh-huh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe McCabe, and you're watching FearNet. With me today is one of the few living masters of horror and suspense, Mr. Wes Craven.
There's a lot of dead ones, but I'm the only living one.
So a lot has changed since the last Scream film. It's a new century, a new decade with new rules, and this film has a lot of new faces.
Right.
What is it that brought you back to the saga?
Well, it is those things, you know, the 10 years have gone by. We have the first decade of the 21st century is over with, so we can make fun of everybody that did anything in that period of time. The core characters of Courtney and David and Nev have kind of been doing interesting things, and with Nev returning to her hometown for the first time, that sets up an interesting dramatic tension. Courtney has, Gail Weathers has married Dewey, and they're living in the small town. Gail Weathers is going nuts from boredom. So, and she's not able to write anymore because nothing horrible is happening. So, in comes Sydney with a best-selling book and getting lots of praise. So there's that kind of fun tension to exploit. So there's a lot of elements to it that's really interesting, and it's set within the matrix of this, you know, whole new era really of personal devices of telecommunication, if you will, you know, blogging, and Facebook, and smartphones, and all of that sort of thing, which has kind of changed the social structure of the world, and certainly in the United States generation.
Is it trickier to scare audiences now than it was when you made the original trilogy? Have you found that there's any different tools required for you to do so?
No, I think it's just a situational newness. The devices of suspense and sudden scares and things like that are kind of the same. But the most important part of it, I've always felt, is not the blood or a stab or whatever it is. It's kind of creating the social context and the personal context of what's going on that creates the fear, because that gets under the skin. The rest of it's kind of on top of the skin.
Well, the Scream films have always offered commentary on the state of the art in horror. Have there been any horror trends that have evolved in recent years that this film examines?
Oh, sure. We make fun of everything or examine it. Certainly the whole meta, phenomenon, the many remakes, the reboots, and the sequels, the use of Asian ghost story, remakes, all of that, and the sort of a whole phenomenon of kids making their own movies and uploading to YouTube also is something that we find very interesting and poke into a lot.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the new faces that we're seeing in this film? Which of these kids in particular, without spoiling anything, do you think most deserves to die?
None of them do. God, I don't know. They're all really talented. Emma Roberts, of course, has a key role as Nev's cousin. She's fabulous. pops on the screen. Rory Culkin, amazing. I mean, they're all of them are just, and there's a fair amount of cameos as well. Just a very rich, varied cast, and all of them are just great on screen, and they're couched in wonderful scenes and moments. So it's really a huge showcase. If I were, a producer allowed to make a film with young people, then I would see this film and just study all of the actors because they're great.
When you were making the film, did you see it as the first of a new trilogy? Were there any doors that you consciously left open?
Yeah, I think there is the notion without having a roadmap entirely. But when I talked to Kevin initially before there was a script even, he talked about a trilogy. So I think he has in his mind a way that this can go into 2 more films.
In general, what is it about the Scream saga that keeps audiences riveted?
Well, I think because it keeps changing for the age, and it has wonderful, interesting core characters, say Prescott and Dewey and Gail Weathers, but as this one does, it immerses itself in very here and now of things, so that it's very much of its time. And it makes some very interesting, I think, entrenchant comments on the society of young people, and of us all, but certainly of high school kids, in a way that weaves itself into a plot and makes it a really fascinating whodunit. And the way social phenomenon like Facebook, like taking pictures of yourself all the time and having your face down and looking at your screen all the time, how all those things kind of affect the psychology, if you will, of the generation as well.
Do you think we are living in a more narcissistic society because of those things today?
There's elements of that, but Narcissus has been around for a long time. It was invented by the Greeks, so that sort of element is, since the mirror was invented, you could say that's always been the case. Or people looking at snapshots of themselves back with black and white photography. But now it seems to be everywhere and can be decimated, spread out over such a vast spectrum so quickly. On the ship we were tweeting a lot. We would get responses within 15 seconds from around the world. Sometimes answers to tough questions. We would give little quizzes. So it made me aware, even though I've had a website for a long time, right back and forth with them. That's like, the cycle time is a day, 2, 3 days. This is within 15 seconds, sometimes shorter than that. You just are aware very much that there are people out there all the time, linked up this way and waiting to find out about things that they're really interested in, and can do so instantly and respond instantly. That's kind of unprecedented.
Is there any rule of thumb you follow when balancing the horror and the humor in these films?
There's kind of a little inner voice that you are constantly trying to hear in much of this process. The Scream series is very interesting because almost immediately after Scream 3 finished, Scary Movie came along. So then you had essentially the same format but made into sort of a very broad comedy where Ghostface was kind of silly and pratfalls, and there was a lot of very broad humor. So now 10 years later, I feel like we're safely away from that we can do a seriously scary film too, but constantly have to be aware that you don't make a Ghostface serious, stupid, or silly, constantly aware that you can't have people just cracking jokes for no apparent reason. That if the humor is there, it's woven in very kind of subtly and naturally, and that you're not just looking for a laugh.
In real life, what's your greatest fear?
Not having an answer to the next interview question. I don't know.
Good one. Can I ask when you first knew that you were a horror fan?
I think, I was probably 30 years old, because I didn't have a history of seeing films as a kid. It was when somebody dragged me in to see Night of the Living Dead, which I was very resistant to, and said, it sounds like stupid and blood and everything else. And within 5 minutes I was completely captivated and laughing and screaming and just sensing the enormous energy in the theater, something I had never seen before. And I still very, very seldom in the theater do you experience anything approaching what a good horror film releases in the audience. It's quite extraordinary.
One last question for you. Were there any scenes that you shot for the film that didn't make their way into the theatrical cut, but that fans can look forward to in the DVD cut?
Yeah, actually, to be very honest, there's a lot. One of the phenomena of the process of the script being written was that it never got down to the normal size. It wasn't like a 110-page script that we were shooting. We shot, I think, 138, maybe 39-page script. Might be giving away too much, but so we ended up with a lot of material, a lot of scenes that didn't make it into the film. But in almost all cases, it gave us the luxury of saying, you know, this section of the film has enough in it, and we can afford to take out some things that aren't really that relevant or that important, or there's another scene that's the same thing in another way that's a little bit better. So, yeah, there's a lot of, I would say, I don't know, 7, 8 scenes in scenes that were taken out that will be on the DVD.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Any particular characters that we can look forward to seeing more of? I mean, I realize you can't get specific, but...
Ghostface's sister that visits from Detroit, was very inner city, and is black. It was a white robe. That was interesting, but we had to take it out.
Awesome. And before we split, can we get a shout out from you to our audience? I'm Wes Craven, and you're watching FearNet.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Wes Craven, and you're watching FearNet.
Thank you so much.
I was looking over the loop. I was fascinated by the LED lights.
LED lights are fascinating. They're low key.
They're weird. They're everywhere now.
They're easy to power.